The story starts with a man who falls asleep on a subway train. When he wakes up, he finds himself surrounded by blood. Another man is hurting someone else on the train. Meanwhile, there's a guy named Leon who enjoys taking pictures of interesting things in the city. He lives with his girlfriend Maya. Maya tells him she has good news if he spends some time with her. She got him a meeting with someone important through her friend Jurgis. Leon is thrilled, and they celebrate. The next day, Jurgis accompanies Leon to the meeting. However, Leon gets upset when the person at the meeting doesn't like his photos because they're not risky enough. She finishes the short meeting by daring Leon to take brave photos. Later that night, Leon dreams about a train where the handles sway and there's blood dripping. He wakes up at 1 a.m. determined to impress the gallery owner by taking pictures of the city at night. Outside, he sees 3 bad guys following a woman onto the subway. He watches them corner her on the stairs and takes pictures from afar to capture what's happening. After getting the photo he wanted, he gets the thug's attention and boldly takes a picture of the tough one coming toward him. Then he points to a security camera to show they're being watched. The thugs back off, and the woman thanks Leon with a kiss. She catches the midnight train because a butcher holds the door open for her. Before she gets on the train, the model looks at Leon one more time. The train goes further into the tunnels. Inside, a person who sells meat hits the model on her head with a special hammer. The next day, Leon hangs up the pictures he took at the train station. Maya likes them and tells Leon to show them to the person who owns the gallery. Later, Maya works at the diner. Leon, who doesn't eat meat, asks the chef to cook tofu for him. While waiting for his food, he reads the newspaper. He learns that the model he met last night is missing. Leon goes to the police station to show them pictures of the model. The detective listens to him and suggests selling the photos to magazines. Leon says no and leaves. Later, he gives photos he took at the train station to the gallery owner. The gallery owner loves them and offers to show more of his work if he invites her to a group show. Leon, Jurgis, and Maya celebrate the good news at the diner by having drinks. Meanwhile, the butcher strikes again on the midnight train, killing 3 employees by cruelly hitting their heads with a meat mallet, causing a bloodbath all over the train. As for Leon, sitting alone just outside the subway, he catches the butcher's intriguing aura, luring him to take photos of him. Leon follows the butcher, but the butcher senses his presence and abruptly grabs Leon's shirt. Leon notices the butcher's signet ring and a blood droplet on his knuckle. Afterward, Leon captures a photo of the butcher walking to a hotel, who glances at him before entering. Arriving at his apartment, Leon examines the butcher's photos in front of the hotel and the model's photos before entering the train. He recognizes the signet ring by the door, realizing the butcher might be responsible for the model's disappearance. The following day, Leon stalks the butcher to his work in a slaughterhouse and onto his wait outside the subway station. The butcher sits on the bench watching passengers load and unload onto the upcoming trains until the midnight train's arrival. The midnight train arrives and the butcher enters. However, a guard stops Leon from following the butcher further due to his suspicious act of secretly taking photos of strangers. The butcher strikes again after being provoked by a passenger. He smashes the passenger's head, but suddenly, he feels a sharp pain pierce his chest, giving the passenger a chance to retaliate with a punch. They wrestle against one another until the conductor hears the commotion and finishes off the passenger by himself with a clean gunshot to the passenger's right eye. Before returning to the control room, the conductor expresses his disappointment with the butcher's performance. Meanwhile, Leon surprises Maya at a diner with a marriage proposal. After Maya says yes, they celebrate. Later, Leon wakes up from a nightmare where, much to his horror, he sees himself slitting the throat of a man, hanging upside down on the neck. Afterward, Leon prepares dinner, while Maya stares at the hanging photographs in the kitchen. She asks if the butcher's photos are part of his group show, but he answers no, and reasons that something's off about the butcher. The model's disappearance continues to bug him, and he feels the butcher is involved. Maya insists on relying on the investigation by the police to avoid bigger problems. However, Leon defies Maya's order and goes on to conduct research on a butcher who is responsible for abductions and killings. Meanwhile, the butcher, standing in front of the bathroom mirror, slices off the mutated marks on his skin. It's shown that the peeled-off skin is kept inside a small jar, then hidden behind the mirror. It turns out the butcher's been doing this for so long because there are more than a dozen jars hidden. The following day, Leon continues his solo investigation, disguising himself as a butcher and secretly taking photos of the butcher working. Suddenly, the butcher faces Leon's direction. leading to a chase inside and a game of hide-and-seek. Luckily, Leon successfully escapes. Leon arrives at the diner and takes a seat next to Jurgis, who is eating. Everyone's surprised when Leon eats a piece of steak, reasoning it's only a bite and resisting, but he eventually gives in and orders the same meat meal. Later, Maya arrives home and finds the apartment filled with cut-out news articles about the century-old butcher's killings, along with images of maps and portraits. Apparently, Leon becomes obsessed with the butcher's intriguing crimes. Despite the detailed information provided by Leon about the ongoing abduction and killing, Maya gets dubious and upset due to her inability to grasp what her boyfriend turned into. So, she stops him from doing night shoots and convinces him to capture the things he loves. Maya starts undressing and expecting Leon to capture her charming hormones, but he can't. At night, Maya works at the diner, and Leon visits her to reconcile, which they did. Leon suddenly freezes in place upon seeing the butcher standing outside the diner. Leon persistently follows the butcher onto the midnight train, and this time there are more passengers than usual. When the midnight train is almost empty, the butcher kills 2 passengers in the car where he's staying. In the next car, Leon takes photos of the butcher, pulling out the corpse's teeth and nails, extracting their eyes, and balding their hair. Unfortunately, the butcher spots and chases Leon until he's cornered. A while later, Leon wakes up due to the unknown creatures inflicting pain and scratching on his chest. Momentarily, Leon wakes up, this time in an abandoned subway station without his camera. He ascends the stairs and realizes the station is just below the slaughterhouse. He comes home and Maya welcomes him, but he immediately isolates himself in the bathroom. He checks his chest and finds peculiar markings engraved there. He leaves the bathroom and Maya begs to check on him. She offers to call the ambulance after seeing the markings and the wounds on his forehead. However, Leon stops her because he has a group show to attend. At night, Leon attends the gallery owner's group show. Despite the clear exhaustion and stress on his face from the events of the midnight train, he tries communicating with the present clients, but he's preoccupied. The triggering point is the butcher's massive portrait plastered on the wall. Leon leaves the gallery after glaring at the portrait, so as to catch the midnight train. Meanwhile, Maya finally believes Leon and meets with Jurgis to retrieve Leon's camera from the butcher. They go to the butcher's current hotel address, wait for the butcher's departure and eventually break into the hotel room. Upon investigation, Maya finds an old timetable containing murders for a century on the subway. Unfortunately, the butcher unexpectedly returns and captures Jurgis snooping inside. However, Maya successfully escapes. Maya then goes to the police station to file a missing report for Jurgis, but the detective dismisses this, and instead accuses her of stealing an important album from the butcher. Maya reasons that the album is with Jurgis, but the detective is doubtful, so Maya takes the matter on her own. She visits the diner and borrows the chef's revolver. Upon leaving, the detective tries to stop Maya from making her crazy accusations, but Maya threatens the detective with a gun, asking for Jurgis' real location. The detective spills the truth, saying Jurgis is on the midnight train. While Maya goes to the subway station and rides the midnight train, Leon on the other side returns to the slaughterhouse and armors himself with a chained apron and various knives against the butcher. Once alone, Maya searches for Jurgis on the midnight train. Just then, the train passes by the abandoned station where Leon is waiting. Upon seeing her inside the train, Leon jumps onto the train's last car and smashes the door window to enter. Meanwhile, Maya reaches the last car and finds corpses hanging upside down onto the handlebars like butchered pigs. The stifling smell of corpses disgusts Maya. However, she finds Jurgis hooked alive there. She tries freeing him, only to give him more excruciating pain. Jurgis' suppressed grunt alarms the butcher, who had just finished killing another victim. The butcher arrives in the corpse's compartment and spots Maya. Maya is near death when suddenly Leon arrives just in time. Leon and the butcher fight viciously against each other, to the point where they wreck the train door. Leon almost kicks the butcher off the train, but he stabs Jurgis' stomach to prevent himself from falling off the train. Jurgis dies after the butcher guts his entrails, causing blood to gush out of his body. The fight carries on, and out of anger, Leon repeatedly hammers the cornered butcher's chest and limbs until he loses his balance and falls off the train, smashing onto the train tracks. Leon, nearly drained from the battle, meets with Maya. They embrace one another until the midnight train puts a stop to a cavern. The conductor comes out of the control room and asks the two to leave the train. The two watch as reptile-like creatures swarm and feast on the hanging corpses from the cavern filled with human remains, sending chills down their spines. Unexpectedly, the butcher is still alive and wrestles with Leon once again until the butcher brandishes a sharp machete to kill him. With fast reflexes, Leon grabs a broken femur from a pile of skeletal remains and thrusts it into the butcher's waist. Then he rapidly pounds the butcher's nape, retrieves the stuck femur from his waist, and impales the bone onto his neck. The butcher gasps as he slowly dies and says his last words, "Take this, welcome." In confusion, Leon finishes off the butcher with a strike of a machete from the back of his head, penetrating up to his mouth. The conductor leaves the train and explains to Leon that the butcher had become incompetent, which is evidently shown when the butcher's chest aches unexpectedly during killings, and his mark mutating off the skin. There's an existing group aiming to protect the reptile-like creatures underground, which exists even before all the humans are born. The group and the reptile-like creatures' correlation are maintained with a deal. The conductor and a butcher are killing passengers to serve as food for the reptile-like creatures to survive. Since Leon finally learns of the creature's existence, the conductor rips off Leon's tongue to keep him from telling the truth to everyone. In that way, it will help keep the two worlds separated. Meanwhile, Maya unconsciously lies on piles of decaying corpses. The conductor approaches Maya's body, raises the dagger and cuts open her chest to withdraw her beating heart. Evidently, the heart is intended to coerce Leon into joining the group's cause. The movie concludes with the detective, also a member of the group led by the conductor, handing a suitcase containing the tools of killing and a timetable to a man in a suit. Ominously, the man in the suit boards the midnight train, revealing Leon's face beneath, signaling him as the next butcher. It becomes apparent that the haunting dreams, wherein Leon envisioned himself killing passengers on a train, were a forewarning. The mutating marks from the butcher match those given to Leon when he was captured, indicating that the reptile-like creatures have chosen him as the next butcher. And the movie ends.